Hi guys, welcome back to the gardener upstairs. I was just about to head out for my morning cardio and then I was going to hit the gym for some squats, and I realized that when I get back I don't have anything for lunch. So what better time to show you my first simple staple. Today we're going to make an incredibly easy slow cooker minestrone. This is the easiest that you will ever make soup. We're going to take some stuff, we're going to throw it in our slow cooker, and we're going to leave for the day. 4 to 8 hours, we're going to come back to a delicious and nutritious soup. It's going to have far less sodium than canned soup, which is going to be much better for you. It's going to have far more nutrients per calorie, which is great. And it's a lot less wasteful because you're not throwing away a can every day. Our ingredients. The foundation for our soup is this pre-cut stew meat from Sam's Club. It's super convenient because you don't have to worry about getting your counter or your cutting board all gross when you're rushing to get on with your day. You just plop it in and you're ready to go. Obviously you're going to want to wash your hands. Next is our vegetables. Yeah, we're using pre-cut frozen blends. Today is Italian blend, Mexican blend, and a little bit of onion and mustard greens for color. Again, we're going for super simple here. When I first started, I used to cut up fresh grocery store vegetables for my soups, but it just takes way longer and there's little to no benefit when your main motivation is making something that's fast and cheap. Here is the main reason that I call this a minestrone. Most of our flavor is going to come from these crushed tomatoes, and some of our vegetables are going to come from these stewed tomatoes. I use the basil and oregano flavored tomato products to make up for my lack of salt. They add flavor without all the sodium. When available, I always go with the less salt version of any canned goods. The last main ingredient is the broth. Because we aren't browning the beef ahead of time and we're using the crushed tomatoes, it really doesn't matter whether we use chicken, beef, or vegetable broth. It has little to no effect on the final taste. Once the meat starts to cook and mix with the tomatoes and the vegetables in our soup, it's going to take on its own unique flavor regardless of the flavor of the broth. If you have any of your own herbs growing in the garden, this would be a perfect time to go pluck some. I didn't grow any herbs this year, so I'm just going to throw in a little bit of this generic Italian seasoning. It's not that big a deal to me, but obviously if you've got some fresh basil, an Italian dish like this, it's a good use for it. We're also going to add a few scoops of this minced garlic. Then we give it a good stir. I like to wipe the edges off. We turn our heat on. If you're only going to be gone for a few hours, set it to high. If you've got a whole workday ahead of you, then you're going to want to set it on low. Then we just put on the lid. And we come back in 4 to 8 hours to some great soup. Oh, I can smell it. It's been about 5 hours. Went and got my swole on. Feeling pretty hungry now. I'm going to go ahead and dish myself out a bowl now. Get it cooling off. Then we'll start filling some containers for the rest of the week. These reusable containers are really quite handy for this kind of thing. I just bought a new set for this video, but my last set, they lasted me for years. I still use them, they just don't look very good on camera. I like to start by scooping out the big chunks and distributing them fairly evenly. This way you avoid ending up with the bowl at the end that's just a bunch of broth and leftovers. Then we just ladle out the rest of the broth. Once we've emptied the pot and we've filled the bowls, we just have to leave them out for a little bit. 30 minutes should do the trick. We just don't want them to be too hot that we have to worry about the lids popping off, and if we just throw them in the fridge when they're nearly boiling, then it's probably going to raise the temperature in the refrigerator, and that's not good for the other food. So just let them sit for a while, and they'll be fine. Once they've cooled, just pop the lids on. And pop them in the fridge. As you can see, this is a super simple way to make soup. It can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. This time we used beef. I've done it many times with chicken. Just get the boneless, skinless chicken breasts. You go that way, you have to cut it yourself, but it's way cheaper. And sometimes you just want chicken soup. Obviously, if you have a source for organic or non-GMO frozen vegetables, if that's important to you, it's going to bring the price up a little bit, but still it's going to be just as simple. It all depends on what you want in your soup. I have no idea how long these things can be expected to last. Personally, I just treat them like any other leftovers. If they've been in there for more than a week, that's 7 days, then I just consider them expired. I hate wasting food, but sometimes you just have to do it. One thing to consider if you opt for fresh vegetables instead of frozen vegetables is that you may run into some consistency issues. A soft vegetable like a zucchini, if you put it in your slow cooker even at low for 4 hours, it's probably going to get mushy. It'll probably still taste perfect, but it's not going to look the best, and sometimes that's important when you're cooking. Hopefully you like this idea. Even better yet, I hope it gave you some ideas of your own. I've used this same simple premise to make all kinds of soups, chicken soups, pork soups. I've even experimented with some chowders. And we'll probably try some of those on later episodes. But in the meantime, if you've got some ideas of your own, I'd like it if you posted those in the comments. Maybe we can try them. If you like the video and you'd like to see more of my super simple staples, then I ask you to please hit the little subscribe button. Thanks, and I hope to see you back upstairs in the garden.